work our ways around them, right? There are a few guidelines for how to adapt to any business culture, right? The first one is become aware of your own bias, right? What are bias? Biases are something which are personal in nature. They differ from individual to individual. They differ from group to group, culture to culture. Often, at many instances, there are certain things towards which we are more inclined, right? Now, logic or fairness or equality or things like that, they do not apply there, or they are ignored there, right? So in some cases, due to some reason, we are sometimes certainly inclined towards certain things, right? So these type of things, these are known as biases, right? And every person, every culture, every country has their own biases, right? So successful intercultural communication requires more than just an understanding of the other party's culture, right? You also need to be aware of your own culture, of your own biases, right? Yes, it is important to understand the culture and understand the norms and values of the other culture, but it is very important to first of all understand your own biases, to understand your own culture, right? You should be aware that what things are actually shaping up your culture, right? So when you are aware of your own culture, and definitely would want to be aware of the other culture, so in that case we might be able to adapt to the other business culture in a better way, right? The other thing is, be careful about applying the golden rule. Now, what is the golden rule? The golden rule, universally it is known as the golden rule in terms of communication. It means treat people the way you want to be treated. This is known as the golden rule, and it is applied almost in every aspect of our lives, and in all aspects of our lives it makes sense, but when it comes to communication, when it comes to communicating across the culture, across business cultures or across national cultures, or any type of division you want to make, in this case the golden rule may not be very much appropriate, right? And the reason is that the way you want to be treated does not necessarily means that the other person, the person belonging to the other culture, would also be wanting to be treated in that way, right? The golden rule said treat others the way you want to be treated, right? But this may not be applicable in a cross-cultural concept, because due to the cultural differences, because due to many other social, religious, and there are many other factors. So due to all these differences, these treatment preferences might be different. Now, it doesn't mean that you want to be treated in a certain way, so the other person also want to be treated in that specific way, right? So the golden rule, it may not be very much appropriate there. The better way, the better approach is to treat people the way they want to be treated, right? We need to understand how the other person want to be treated, and then we should be treating them in that way. So the golden rule may not be very much applicable here. The next thing is exercise tolerance, flexibility, and respect. Now, if we think about it, tolerance, flexibility, and respect, not only in communication but in each and every aspect of our lives. We need to be tolerant of the differences, we need to be flexible about those differences, and we need to respect those differences, right? Because there are always going to be differences, even in the same culture, even between two individuals who belong to the same culture, there still are differences. We need to tolerate them, we need to be flexible about them, and we need to respect them. So whenever we are in an organization and having some cross-cultural communication of any way, tolerance should be there, flexibility should be there, and respect should be there, right? The other thing is practice patience and maintain a sense of humor. Now, patience, very important in every aspect of our lives. There are many. There would be many instances in our professional lives where we need to be patient about different things, right? We need to be patient about our differences. We need to be patient about whatever happens between two individual or groups, right? So patience is very important. The other thing is sense of humor. Now, sense of humor does not seem to be an official or important thing, but in certain cases, sense of humor is very important. And what sense of humor actually does is that it enables us, it allows us to move past different awkward and embarrassing moments, right? Often things happen, like maybe we commit some mistakes, or we do some stupid things, or maybe we make a certain comment or anything, or maybe a certain other person make a comment or something which might be offensive to us. So a better way to deal with it is with humor, right? What happens with humor is that we move past some awkward and embarrassing moment a bit easily, right? Patience, as I mentioned earlier, patience is important, and sense of humor is important, right? Patience about mistakes of other people, patience about miscalculations, etc., right? Then there is a concept of individualism and collectivism. These are two cultural characteristics, right? Certain cultures are individualistic in nature, certain cultures are collectivist in nature. Individualistic cultures means that those cultures actually focus on individuals. They focus on individual success. They focus on individual abilities. They focus on individual benefit, and that is why the evaluation of people is also being done by individual basis. On the other hand, we have collectivist cultures. In collectivist cultures, what happens that success or even failure or acknowledgement of something or anything, these things actually are done collectively on a group basis, right? In these cases, the collective good is actually preferred over individual good, right? So there are many different organizations. Some might be having an individualistic culture, some might be having a collectivist culture. So we need to be aware of these things, and we need to act accordingly. Equality is very important. Equality on the basis of gender, or on the basis of race, or on the basis of any demographic characteristics other than ability. Everyone should be treated equal. This is very important. Privacy and personal space, definitely they're very important, and they also do vary from culture to culture. Some culture they promote more privacy and personal space, some cultures do not. So we need to be considerate of that, right? But most of the times, privacy and personal space, they do hold a great deal of importance. Personal space is important, and we need to be giving personal space to our peers and our boss and our subordinates, whoever we are actually interacting with. Time and schedules. Now, time and schedules, they in some organizations they do hold great deal of importance. Being punctual, having meetings started on the correct time, end them on the correct time, on the exact time. Now, in some organizations, in some cultures, time and schedules are followed very strictly. In some cultures, they are not. So we need to be aware of that. We need to act according to it. Religion is also very important. Now, religion is actually a very sensitive thing. When it comes to religion, most of the times, logic and reason, these type of things, they do not work there. Because religion is something purely sentimental, something that is maybe far away from logic, right? It goes more into the category of faith. So religion plays a very important role in how actually people behave, right? Religion do shape our lives. Now, there might be some organizations or some countries with their but there might be a certain official religion or things like that. For example, in Pakistan, we have our official religion, that is Islam. But in the United States, there is no official religion, right? There are many religions working there in a majority number. So they do not have an official religion, and that is purely a secular state. But on the other hand, Pakistan is not a secular state, it is a religious state, and that religion is Islam, right? So we need to be sensitive about the religious sentiments of whoever we are actually communicating with, dealing with, right? These were a few important steps, or maybe a few important guidelines to be able to adapt to other business cultures and communicate efficiently. And now let's come towards improving intercultural communication skills. Intercultural communication, it is definitely very important, especially in this current era of globalization, where things are getting nearer and nearer, and we do need to communicate with other businesses, with other cultures, right? The first thing which will help us is to study the other cultures. Right now, culture is something very vast, something very deep. It is not possible to just study a certain culture in a complete manner, but just to have basic know-how of some other culture would actually help us in intercultural communication, right? Same goes with language. Language is something very vast, something very deep, and no one expects you to know all the languages, but it is better just to know a little, just to have a little know-how about the other language, right? The next thing is respecting preferences for communication styles, right? The communication styles, it differs from culture to culture, right? Here when I say culture to culture, it means both organizational culture. Maybe in the same country, two different organizations, they have different cultures, or maybe when we are operating across the border, that is totally a new culture on a whole new level, right? So respecting preferences for communication styles. Now, communication style is actually different in each culture, in each organizational culture, right? The level of directness, how direct you communicate. Now, some cultures may appreciate a direct message, but some cultures may appreciate things like maybe having a small talk before you actually get to business and things like that. But in some cultures, it is more preferred to just come and directly talk. But in some cultures, it might be considered a bit rude or disrespectful to just leave everything and just directly talk about whatever you want to talk about, right? Degree of formality. Now, the degree of formality differs from organization to organization. Some organizations are very formal. They have certain specific rules and regulations about everything, and they need to be strictly followed. But on the other hand, there are organizations which are not that much formal. If we take example of Google, now Google is an organization which is not very much formal, right? They do not have, in fact, Google is an organization which is on the other extreme of formal. They do not have specific rules and regulations about everything. They are very much flexible. If you watch the movie The Internship, you will get a very clear idea about how Google actually operates, right? Media preferences, through what medium you want to communicate. Now, in some cultures, an email might be preferred. In some cultures, a WhatsApp message might be preferred. In some cultures, a phone call might be preferred, or things like that, right? Then the other important thing is to write clearly. Now, whenever we are communicating, every now and then we need to write something, right? So while writing a certain communication, we need to be careful about a few things. The first thing is choose the words carefully. Obviously, we would be choosing words appropriate to a certain situation, but sometimes choosing the words carefully is very important, because at times there are certain words that may give maybe a double meaning of something, right? So it is very important to choose the words rightfully, to choose the words carefully, so that the meaning which is transmitted was in fact the actual meaning which you wanted to communicate, which you wanted to send, right? Don't use words that are confusing. Use words that are correct, appropriate, desirable, moral, authentic, right? These type of words should be used. Words like the words which may have double meaning or which are not very much concrete, they should not be used. The next thing is be brief. Being brief is very important. It shows respect for the time of other people, and also it saves the time of other people, because every person, they might be busy, so having so sending some large pieces of communication might not be very appropriate. So when you be brief, it shows respect for time of other people, and it increases the chance of positive response as well, right? So being brief is important. The next thing is use plenty of transitions, right? Whenever you are communicating, whenever maybe you are writing an email, you are writing a story about something, it is very important to help the readers follow your train of thought, right? They should be following what is happening, they should be following what you are thinking, they should be following how certain events are getting connected to other events. That chain of events, the reader actually should be following it, right? Because chain is very important. There is a certain level of maybe a sequence that is going on, so it is very important, right? Then the next thing which we have is citations, numbers and dates. They must be done carefully. Numbers and dates are very important, where we often use them in our email, so they must be chosen carefully, because maybe you just mention a wrong date or a wrong number somewhere, so it can change things. What is a citation, right? Whenever we are actually writing some formal communications, right, where we are giving certain information or things like that, in these cases, giving references to certain numbers or certain decisions or things like that is very important, right? Giving citations is very important. Sorry. Okay, so giving citations is very important, and it is necessarily because whenever we are formally communicating, whenever we are using some information, so we need to cite it, we need to cite the reference to it, right? We need to give a reference for it. For example, if I claim at a certain point that research has shown that a good environment has actually have a positive impact over the efficiency of Salesforce, right? Now this is a statement, I need to give a reference for it, right? Because I cannot claim it just by my own opinion or by my own experience. I need to give reference to it, a proper formal reference for it, right? So just to give you an idea here, I'll give you an example of citations here, how we actually give citations whenever we are sending some formal communication, right? So this is there are many other softwares for it, but Microsoft Word, it is the most commonly available software. So I'll start with that. First of all, for example, if I want to write something, a statement, right? Any statement. Let's assume I'll just write something like that. Advertising in the supermarket has a positive impact over sales in that particular supermarket. Now it is just a hypothetical thing. You can write anything. So this is now a statement that I have used, and now I want to give a reference to it, right? Now here, if you can see on the screen that first of all, style. There are many referencing styles. APA. We have the Harvard Business Review style, Chicago, and there are many others. But APA is the most widely accepted, but you can use anyone you want. Here, click on the insert citation and add new source, right? Check this one, show all bibliography fields, right? Then what you are referencing, right? Maybe you are giving reference for a book section, a journal article, a report, and there is a huge list here, whatever you want to refer. Let's assume I want to refer to a journal article, right? Now, author, I'll just add these fields. For example, author's last name is Khan and first name is Zarak, right? Add to it now. Now in the other case, we have Alright, so I have entered the name. So now, for example, that article may be written by more than one person, right? So, for example, here I would like hypothetically any name, Khan and Hassan, right? So I would click add. So now both these authors are actually added to it. Okay. Title. Title can be anything. Sales and marketing. What is the journal name? There are many online journals which actually publish research articles. I would just mention one, Journal of Consumer Behavior. Maybe if you were citing some movie, you would write the name of the movie here. Year 2020, whenever that article was published, maybe page 14. These are just hypothetical values I'm giving, and many other things. Volume 1, issue 14, things like that. These are all actually spaces which you can fill. Then click OK. So if you can see this Khan and Khan 20. Now this thing is known as an internal citation, right? So whenever the document is completed, you have written many other things with many other references, internal citations. You click on bibliography and you click bibliography here. So at the end of the document, as you can see, now these are the full-on references of what you have actually cited, right? So this is how we put internal citations into a document. Then the other important thing is to avoid slangs. There are certain slangs in our languages, slangs which are not properly formally a part of the language, but we use them according to different culture to culture. For example, saying like knocked one out of the park. Knocked one out of the park. Now this is a slang, this is an idiom which is not actually a part of the language, so things like that must not be used, right? The other thing is avoid humor. To avoid humor, avoid humor and references to popular culture, right? Humor and references to certain things related to culture. Now these are the things which are culture specific, these are time specific, group specific. Now a person from another culture, he may not be able to understand whatever you are actually saying, right? So your office jokes, your cultural jokes, right, they must be only confined to your culture, because the other person who is actually new to all this may not have any idea what is actually going on, right? Speaking and listening carefully, definitely whenever we speak, we should always mind what words we are using. Sometimes what happens that due to some stage pressure, due to many other factors, sometimes definitely when we speak, especially in public forums, it does add a lot of pressure on us, right? Maybe it drops down your efficiency to like 50 to 60% in case of beginners, right? But even in the case of professionals, the productivity or the efficiency or the quality of your speech, it does come down to maybe 5-10%. It depends upon person to person, right? So due to that pressure, sometimes we use words which we normally would not have used, right? Which may not have been very appropriate for that particular setting, for that particular moment, right? So we need to be speaking carefully, and also we need to be listening very carefully. Listening is also an important part of communication, and without listening, communication is incomplete, right? So listening and actually extracting that intended meaning out of the sentence is very important, and we need to do them carefully. And the last point is that we need to help others to adapt to our culture, right? Whenever we are actually trying to communicate with someone from another culture, whenever we are being involved in intercultural communication, instead of making things harder for others, we should make things easy for them, and we should help them to educate them about our culture, and help others to adapt to our culture as well. That was it for today. I hope to have a good session in the live class that we have. Have a good day. Allah Hafiz.